I've had a lot of slams. I did a trick where you land 2 feet on one side of the bike when you come back down. When I landed, I felt my the foot that I had on the wrong side go down and hit the gear shifter. I thought that I knocked the bike back in from second back into first gear, and it was straight into a corner. So I just clicked up a gear hoping that I was in first going to second, but I was actually in second going to third. And I just overjumped, cleared the whole landing, did a backflip trick and landed way out on the flats. I probably went like 100 feet, just landed straight on my ass. Like I over-rotated the flip. It was nasty. It tore the back wheel off the bike. I've never seen anyone else tear a back wheel off. Like it got the back wheel and ripped it out of the swing arm. I punctured my lung without breaking any ribs. The doctor's like, I don't know how the fuck you did that, but you did it. Fucking hurt.
Unleashed with the Dingo and Danny. Fueled by Monster Energy.
I haven't seen you in 2 years, and I think you're wearing this. I think you're actually wearing the same outfit.
Smells like he's
That
wearing
2.5
the same
years.
outfit.
It's not clean, but it's not bad.
That's
where
true.
I'm at
Like if
right
someone
now.
like smells like too much like cologne, you're like, what's really going on?
Yeah, this guy's been partying for a couple of days.
Yeah.
I didn't want that one.
Guilty.
I wanted this one. Sorry, I wanted this one instead. So it's a shoes off episode.
We can do pants off too if you want.
We can- For those of you that have been living under a rock, we have Jackson Strong, aka Jacko.
Hello, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thank you
I
for
read
coming.
you got 13 X Games medals or something. How many do you have?
Don't know.
You don't know.
It'd be
You
around
really
that.
don't know, huh?
I know it's
You only
6.
care about winning because you won 6 golds.
Yeah. How do you know this stuff? I was going to say that.
Oh, I know you.
Yeah. I've been doing it for a long time now. We're all getting older.
What have you been doing for a long time?
Riding dirt bikes.
Oh, yeah,
motorcycles. For a fair while now. X Games, 2011, first gold. So
How old were you?
11 years ago. 19 years old.
I just watched that recently. I think it was on TV or something. But they had you when you won your first. You did that. Was it a front flip?
Yeah. Wait.
And then you had no shirt on. You just had the vest on.
Yeah, I can't do that now. Not after COVID. I've got to. It'll be too hard to suck in. For
I
that
saw
long.
a few videos of you, a lot of shirtless dirt bike tricks.
Yeah, I don't know why that happened.
It kind of like escalates the danger, no? Or is it more for like
More
impressing
extreme.
the chicks?
Oh, yeah, extreme.
Just I don't know. It's a younger.
How did you get on Crusties in the beginning?
Oof. We going that far back?
We
You're
have
gonna-
to start somewhere.
We're going to hear some stories that could be tarnishing the family name.
Nah, I think the family name's pretty tarnished. For those
No,
of you that people that don't know, what are you, like 6th generation farmer?
Yep, 6th generation farmer. I don't do a whole lot of farming at this point in time, but maybe I'll get back to that one day. And yeah, for me, it all started out riding dirt bikes on the farm. It's a way of getting around. It's means of sort of transport.
Tell us how many acres you live on.
Checking there's 20,000 acres there. So we use it to like,
20,000 acres.
I'm in the middle of not much.
Wow.
Dingo's
I got a
been
big
at
property.
the-
I got 40 acres. People think I'm a land baron.
And
20,000 acres.
His dad mows the whole thing.
farms it. You don't mow it, but yeah.
Okay.
His dad gets on the mower and fucking cuts everything.
Really?
That's crazy. I've flown in with him on his
Yeah.
airplane. He picked me up. He picked me up from my local airport, and then we flew in and landed on the property. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's in there. It's out there for sure. And for me, that's how dirt bike started. Just because out there, it's how you get around.
That's
and
how you
then
got to school.
how I got to school. I used to ride I had a little bike shelter down near the bus stop, and I'd ride my bike down. I'd leave for school, and then Mum was pretty onto it, and she fucked me over one day. Went down, and then I came back, but because I thought she was going out for the day, because I used to skip school a little bit, and I got
No,
sprung.
you?
So, yeah.
I don't believe it.
Yeah, and then Crusty Tour, that started not too long after that. I think I was 13 when I got on Crusty Tour, and I learned all the habits, the bad habits of life. All those guys drinking all the time, I learned not to do that. And yeah, it was fun. Crusty Tour was good. It was back in those days, that's 2006. I was the end of the gnarly generation when the Deegan was still there. Feist had gone, left, all the early freestyle guys that made Crusty what it's known for today. They were all kind of gone. So I was on the tail end of that tour, so it was good to not good for a 13-year-old not to be exposed to probably a lot of the stories that I heard earlier.
Like the original ones. That makes a lot of sense, though.
They were wild. Like
And was
some of
this
the
tour
original
in
stories we can't
Australia?
even say them on here.
Nah, right?
Was the tour in Australia when you were 13?
Yep. Yeah, I toured up and down Australia for
But how did you get linked with them? So you started like doing tricks and like
I
started doing freestyle on your property?
yeah, on my property.
Built
And then I
jumps.
linked up with Maddo,
Yep.
Robbie Madison.
Yep.
And then Robbie introed me to the Crusty guys when the tour was coming on, and those guys put me on for the tour. And then I kind of hung out with all the guys, rode with the guys that rode with Deegan on the tour, and then Deegan brought me over to the US. That's when I first came over to the US in 2009. And then we went from and then first X Games in 2011. So I was here for a couple of years, went and watched X Games a few years. I was 17 at the time, 19 first X Games.
Was it true that you were like a mechanic like for a little bit or no?
No, no one would trust me doing that. Have you seen my bikes?
And then what was the year you first competed in X Games?
I competed in 2010 as an alternate for freestyle, but I crashed, knocked myself out, missed the contest. And then 2011 was my first contest in Best Trick in freestyle, but I couldn't get into freestyle because there's another couple of guys that tried to do front flips the years previous.
Who's the other guy? Like, what was the other guy's name? That nobody
There's a
knew?
guy, Paris Rosen.
And then who was the guy that had no sponsors? Murray?
Yeah,
Wasn't
he
he
was
slinging
doing
front flips?
double flips. No, he was double flip guy.
Oh, he wasn't?
But Rosen crashed a couple of times, so X Games, and he had some pretty bad accidents. So X Games kind of like wanted to wipe their hands clean of the trick because if you remember back in Staples Center where the roll-in was, you'd come down and be super tight, and then there wouldn't be much flat before the ramp, and that made it more difficult to do a front flip there. So I went and built a roll-in at my house, like a massive roll in the same size as the one at Staples, so I could replicate it. And then I went and did a bunch of dirt before I came over. So I did work pretty hard to get in that year, but I was lucky I did end up winning that. And that kind of kickstarted off my little journey.
Yep. And then you won 2011, year front flip. You're a baby. You were a baby then.
Yeah, 19. Yeah.
What's the trick
feels
to
like
the front
yesterday.
flip though? Because isn't there like a whole? I mean, obviously it's crazy commitment, right? Because you're
Yeah, it's
leaning
just a
forward, but the
commitment.
front brakes.
Yeah, brakes help a lot. It's not brakes on the ramp. It's not brakes on the takeoff. That's too inconsistent. But it's just the gyro of those two wheels stopping. Like if you spin something and stop it, it's going to have an opposite reaction of whatever's happening.
Mm-hmm.
The front wheel, it's just front wheel. Once you leave, as far forward as you can, front wheel, back wheel. And if you do all that at the right time, you can make the thing spin. But then it's quite difficult to land that trick because when you're coming around, your wheels are locked up. And your bike, you're used to riding a motorcycle that has, anyone who's ridden a motorcycle knows when your front wheel's locked up, there's no gyro in the front end. So the front end doesn't feel very nice. So it just takes a little bit to get used to that feeling.
You've had some pretty interesting injuries over the years. I remember it was in was it in Austin X Games? Did you go to the hospital?
Yeah.
Come back and then finish?
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Did you win?
Yeah. I went there. I was trying to do a double flip transfer, the double drop. Double flip transfer on the quarter pipe. So the quarter was set up like that and then double flip over. But that trick was, because you just go straight up and straight down. The trying to land on the on a flat landing hurts so bad, and that the landing wasn't super steep. It was pretty flat, but it was ready. It was go time, so I was sending it no matter what. And when I landed, I hit it pretty hot, and I hit that hard that I couldn't. I bent everything on my bike just from landing. Like it cased that hard. I don't know if there's footage that you can put over the top, but there's a case that hard that it wrapped the pipe around the frame, and then I hit my neck really hard on the handlebar, like when I fell down. And it did my I couldn't breathe for a while, but then they took me to the local medic on site, and they did an ultrasound on my neck, and they thought, "What's that artery there? Carotid one of the arteries in your neck." They thought that was punctured, like severed, because from doing the ultrasound. So they ran me to the hospital in a heli. I got
me to a hospital in the heli.
I got airlifted to the hospital, and then I got cleared as soon as because it was like and my next event was in 1 hour, but because it was a like a life-threatening injury. As soon as I got there, they put me straight in, and then they're like, "Oh no, you're good, it's cleared." And I hurt like hell, but I made sure when I got there I didn't have any painkillers or anything, so I could still. So I wasn't like...
in the back of your head, you're still like, I might be able to compete.
Yeah, I was like, maybe. And then it was a 40-minute drive, but it was...
They didn't heli you back.
It was a 5-minute flight or 40-minute drive. And unfortunately for one of the guys in best whip, so it went quarter pipe, best whip, best trick. And unfortunately for one of the boys in best whip, they crashed, broke their wrist, and got airlifted to the hospital.
Broken wrist gets you an airlift?
Or something. They did. So they got knocked out. Something happened. And they came back. And so I was sitting at the thing and I saw, I think it was Tom Parsons come in, and I was like, hey, to the heli guy that dropped him off. I'm like, hey, I'm kind of like need to get to an event. If you guys could give me a lift back, it starts in 6 minutes. And Deegan was back there, and my mechanic was back at the, Brian was back at the venue. So I called them because they were packing all my stuff up, and I said, can you guys do everything you can to try and make a motorcycle ready in 10 minutes, because I'm gonna be back there in the heli. And the event started in 15 minutes, and I pulled up, heli dropped me off, walked straight out of the ambulance heli, got on my bike, and the bike had all different parts on it, because it was like we borrowed parts off Jared McNeil, off Tucker, off all the other guys that were riding YZs. So it was like nothing I was used to, but it ended up working. And I came out, did a front flip in that, and that won me the event. So that was pretty sick.
Came back, did a front flip, won X Games.
Yeah, and then left the place with a super sore neck. I had the stiffest neck for so long. I looked like someone that had half swallowed a Viagra pill and got stuck in their neck. I was just like this for ages.
Yeah, right.
Can that happen?
You get a stiff neck if you don't swallow it enough, apparently. If it doesn't go the whole way down. You haven't heard that?
No, I haven't heard that yet.
What's the deal with Australians and
bad jokes
and being good at freestyle motocross?
I don't know. Freestyle, it's goes in phases. It was always an American thing, wasn't it? And same as racing. I think you see it in a lot of these sports, because their own countries have a similar, like they have that industry or group of people competing in that. So Australia, we had the Crusty Tour had a big dominance in Australia. Nitro Circus Tour had a big dominance there, and a lot of riders were in. Everyone, friends, riding together, practicing together, and I think that's what kind of kick-started the Aussie. We have dominated for a little while in freestyle, but I think can quite easily change. If there's there's a lot of really good Euro guys. There's couple good kids coming through in the US. So I think it can all change in a heartbeat. But you do see it in other sports, like the motocross. We didn't have an Aussie guy in motocross supercross, and then the Lawrence brothers are riding together a lot, and they're coming through. And there's some other good young fast Aussie guys I see over here riding at the test tracks and stuff. Just like the little communities.
Right there.
It's nothing like Australia versus anywhere else at all, but it's just the group of people that you're hanging out with. If you're hanging out with someone that can ride a motorcycle good, you're eventually going to ride a motorcycle, as you are the top 5 people you hang out with, aren't you? So I think it's just, you see that in different sports all around the world, not even motorsports.
Yeah. You built a pretty gnarly setup at your house there, and you have you basically got a small country you live on in land size, but you built this training facility, and unfortunately Corona kind of hit, and you built it for the 1X Games, right? Or you built that as your training site, you built it, the cover in, and you still have that same facility set up? Yeah,
I've still got the same facility there. It's I built it so I could, with a busy travel schedule of doing shows, and then with trying to find time to practice is sometimes difficult. Like I'm flying back to Australia tonight, and then I've got 4 weeks before X Games. 4 weeks of solid practice. And for me, when I'm practicing, I want to be riding like twice a day. I like to put in the work and get as current as I can, so I make sure I'm on top of my stuff. But when you did it sound like I said something else?
No, just
current.
I saw the emphasis you put on current.
Current. And current. You can't say that in here, right? We're on a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to be as current as I can be, and having something indoor where there's no weather is obviously the way to do it. So I put the effort in the off season and build it, but then it kind of pulled all the events. So I just
you got a huge
we had some pretty good parties in there though, because all the foam pits under lights. So Sometimes we have a little play in there early in the morning and everyone jumps the pit bikes in the pit. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's paid off. It's worth it. No, it's useful when I go home now because I can really hook in and focus on what I need to do.
Yeah. Have you had, over that period of not much happening, did you have like any like get-togethers at your house? Or because the Australians, you guys were kind of landlocked for a minute.
Yeah, we were landlocked. We were locked down pretty tighter than a... we were locked down super tight. And it was... What I ended up doing, I do a bit of skydiving as well and base jumping. So
we've noticed
my friends at home that skydive as well and that fly planes, I ended up hanging out with them a lot more than than sort of dirt bike guys because you couldn't travel
on the roads as
much.
So we fly planes,
turn the transponder off, and maybe we could go places and hang out with each other when we're meant to be locked down.
So that's what you guys are doing.
I don't want to say that on here.
They didn't have a police lock on the road. They had the police lock on the road, not up in the air.
Yeah, we were just hanging out at my house.
Skydiving for months.
Yeah, we did it. We did a couple of solid weeks.
You've been really
down,
I mean, I've flown with you and I've done a bunch of airplane tricks up there with you. How did the flying come about?
Again, just living on the farm, like it's a good way of transport out there. And I do, like when I do a tour of shows too, it's hard to go. I've got to drive an hour to the closest airport, and then that's only a little airport. So then you got to have another flight to get to a big airport to get some. It's 3 flights before I would kind of get anywhere. So the original reason for flying was just so I could get to and from shows to make it easier without having to fly commercially. And then once I started flying, I loved it. I like it a lot. And then I started doing some like flips and stuff in the planes. I got into the aerobatic side of things, and I've got some friends that I fly with at home now that are pretty into it, like that have had to do it for work in Australia, and they've been coaching me along the way, and I just enjoy it. It's like riding a motorcycle. It's similar to riding a dirt bike. For what I do on a dirt bike, like I feel all the flips and spins and stuff, you can, once you get used to it, you can kind of see up from down and Arthur from Martha. But it's pretty fun.
Have you had like any like incidents? Like have you like lost an engine? Have you had to have like weird landings? Like
yeah, I've had the engine stop a few times, but it's mainly because I forget to turn the fuel tap over or something. It's normally self-inflicted, so you can get it started again. But in my I've got a Pitts, which is a small plane. Like the wings is literally as big as this couch, two wings either side. Like it's tiny, and it's a single seat little aircraft. It's like half the size of the one we were in, Ding.
Yep.
And it's so much fun because it's so short and shortly coupled, big engine. It can you can flip, do heaps of really cool stuff in it.
Yeah.
And you can punish it a bit, it's not going to, whereas the one we were in, if you go pull like yanking on stuff too much, this is a stick, not anything else. If you go yanking on stuff too much, you could snap the wing. It'd do a wing clap where the wings go clap over
and that's
the top.
You don't want to do wing claps, right?
No wing clap. And yeah, so this new one's strong. And then I'm building one now. The cardboard box we're taking to the airport's the final piece of the puzzle for my new one that I'm building. I've been spending a lot of time in COVID at night in the shed too, building this new thing. So
nobody's seen this thing yet?
I posted some photos of it.
Yeah.
Looks like a paper mache project that you did in primary school. But no, it's actually come together really well. My friend who I fly with in Australia has been coaching me. He built the same plane. His name's AJ, and he built the same plane. It's a 5,000 hour build. So it's like takes a long time to build through this thing. But anyway, he's been helping me along the way, and I'm 90% done with 80% to go. So it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, the math checks out there.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Just another 1,000 hours.
Yeah. Another 1,000. No, I probably got in about 200 hours, I think.
And do you fly are you wearing a parachute the whole time you're doing these tricks, or how does that work?
Yeah. Yeah,
we didn't have a parachute.
No, that plane's safe, but my new one, the little one that I fly, it was made in I think it was the late 60s or 70s.
Wow, really that old?
It's pretty old. Like sometimes if you go too fast, hopefully no one from Cass is watching this, but some things might come loose or something. So it's nice. It's very comforting to have a parachute on. But the new ones, I've done it's going to be a beautiful machine. So I will wear a parachute because it's better to have it not need it than not have it and need it. You can say that about a lot of things.
Yeah, I guess it's this life.
Yeah.
Have you done any like type of shows or events in planes yet? Is that like your goal?
Yeah, I did one in Australia a while ago. Just at the in town, in Wagga, they had a fly-in and we did a formation aerobatics display. So I spent a lot of time learning to do formation aeros. So I do that with AJ and Jonesy, another guy at home. There's 3 of us, and you're flying like literally from our wingtips are from like meter you away when you're doing loops and flipping over and stuff, and that's really rewarding. Like flying aerobatics is something you do by yourself, so it's kind of like freestyle motocross. You can't come down and say, like, we nearly hit, then that was so funny. Whereas when you're flying form arrows, you're both there it's like riding around on a track together. It's pretty sick.
Yeah.
I'd like to do more of that. I flew under someone the other day. One of my friends was jumping over the Benny Richards, another monster rider. No, it was Tom Richards, one of the Monster Army guys in Australia, young guy that I coached for freestyle. We set the ramp up and he was jumping the ramp, and then I flew underneath him in the plane.
Yeah.
I saw this. You were like a little sideways coming in.
Yeah, a little sideways coming through like that. And so I want to do that. I'd love to fly under some of the guys at maybe like a demo show or somewhere over here, but I kind of ran it by a few people. I ran it by Tucker, and he's like, "Oh no." And, there's not too many people that are super keen
willing to go
like
underneath
super
you.
stoked
Yeah,
to have you
I'll
come
talk
in.
someone into it. They're like,
Get
I
Bilko.
can-
He's an idiot.
yeah, he's pretty silly. I'll be able to talk someone into it.
You've had some interesting injuries and stuff over your life. My favorite one is
The crocodile bite.
yeah, you almost blew your leg off.
Yep.
What? How did you do that again? Fireworks?
Yeah, it was on that stroke of midnight on New Year's Eve.
Stroke of midnight.
It was stroke at like 12 o'clock. So
What year did we go into?
I think it was 12, 13.
2013.
Yeah, 2012 into 2013.
Yep.
So I was doing there because we didn't have any. I was actually doing a dirt bike show the next day. So
You didn't make that show, did you?
I didn't make the show, but I was doing a show the next day. So I was like, I'm going to stay at home and not go out to the pubs in town because I have things to do tomorrow. Anyway, we stayed at home drinking a lot, and then we decided to make the fireworks because we didn't have any fireworks. And all that I had was a pound of black gunpowder, and I didn't have any detonators and I just made a pipe bomb, but I didn't have any detonators to set it off. All I had was some acetylene gas, but acetylene's like really volatile, and it was not an intelligent thing. I never said I was smart. I'll make that disclaimer right here, right now. Anyway, before I set it off, I was putting it down where it was going to get set, and it got set off early from static or something, or drill. Yeah, I was drilling near it, so whether maybe static from the drill or whatever it was, and it went bang. Yeah, so I learned my lesson there. Don't
make your own fireworks.
Don't make your own fireworks, and if you do, just make the wick a little longer.
Yeah. We used to play around with those as kids in New Jersey quite a bit.
Yeah.
And we got really lucky.
Yeah.
But it was one time that was pretty funny. And I remember we were like, because we would just like tape up gunpowder under my friend's dad's had it.
Yeah.
Super bad idea. But then one time I like put the gunpowder around this whole like toilet ring.
Yeah.
I don't know why there was a spare toilet outside of my house, but
Yeah.
I did it, and then we lit it, and then my mom randomly pops her head out the window. She's like, "What's in the brown baggie, guys?" And we just like ran away.
Oh, no.
Kind of got caught,
Yeah.
and I definitely burnt my eyebrows off. Pretty
Yeah.
good. And now they grow back super strong.
Yeah, now
that's
you
good.
got
Now they're
Yeah.
bushy.
yeah,
Good.
bushy eyebrows, dude.
Mhm.
I lost my eye, or like my vision in this. Some metal went through it from that same blast, and I didn't have an eye. I was lucky that I got a really good surgeon in Australia, and then
He fixed your eye.
yeah, I had no lens in it for 3 months, and I lost a big chunk out of. That's why there's a big hole in my leg there, and then I had no couldn't see for 3 months. So it was so weird. I got back riding dirt bikes pretty quickly. I kind of like kept when it happened. It was a bit of a reality check because I often was like I'd do silly things like that all the time, and I was like, wow, I think I just ended my career.
And it barely even started yet.
And it barely even started yet. You know, I was only a few years in, and I was so like upset with what I did, and and the choices that I haven't made some of the most intelligent choices at times, and I so I was so upset. I kept it so quiet, and I just got back going on the bike as soon as I could. I couldn't walk I was in hospital for a month, and I walked out of hospital because no one thought I was going to get to keep my leg because it was pretty nasty. Like it was pretty nasty, and none of the doctors.
They thought you were going to chop your leg off.
They all made bets when I got into Wagga Hospital before because I got
Who's
airlifted.
making bets?
All the other doctors did. And they told me afterwards. They said not one of the doctors here before I went.
Out of
to
how
Sydney.
many?
I don't know. There was like a bunch of doctors.
They were going to
sitting-
cut your leg off.
Yeah, it was pretty. It's nearly off now, and but then because
We might show a photo. I don't know if it's pretty grueling, but I mean,
I can
people
send
that
you a
follow-
photo. It's got my setup in the back, so we might have to blur that out.
Nice.
It took off.
set up in
I-
the back.
I lost the end of that too, so I've only got 8 inches left there, but I'll make do with what I had.
That's something that, like, blows my mind, though. I mean, you know,
no
with,
pun there.
Yeah.
with the motor, but like how gnarly, you know, that some of the slams are in all action sports, you know, of course. But I feel like with, you know, motocross and freestyle motocross specifically, you know, it's like you are riding this, like, you know, super mechanical horse in a way, right? And
Yeah.
I feel like you guys take some incredible rebounds and injuries, but it's like, I guess the most important thing is like your hands in motocross in a way. you
Yeah,
know?
arms and legs are very important.
They're all important.
yeah.
But I feel like, I mean, to do that injury and then get back on a bike within 2 or 3 months.
Yeah, I got back quick. I think it was like the 5-month mark. I ran a marathon. I ran 42 Ks 5 months afterwards.
Oh, really? Had
So
you
I
ever
was-
done a marathon before?
No, I wasn't a runner.
That
but
was your like. That was like you were like.
It took me
putting
like
yourself through it.
It took me like 5 or 6 hours, but I just put myself through it because I just like I just got tunnel vision, and I could probably need that again. To, like, it's good for
Oh,
focus.
should you blow your other leg off?
Yeah, maybe. No, but it was a good point in my life. As bad as it was a good point in my life to maybe like focus a little more and
Yep.
not take things for granted from then on.
Yep. No, that's
I'm not saying that I didn't do anything silly from then on, but I definitely appreciate
Yeah.
my body.
So you're one of the only people I know that have a pet kangaroo.
Skippy.
How did that come about?
Skippy's mother got hit by a truck down the front of the road, and I was just driving past because lots of kangaroos at home, and they
Yep.
get hit by vehicles all the time. And I was driving down the road, and she was just sitting next to her mother. She was only probably like that big. She weighed probably the same as a can of Monster when I
Dang.
first got her, and I just picked her up and took her back home. And because when I was little, I had a pet kangaroo, and it was my best friend when I was little. But
We didn't have any friends.
yeah, I didn't have any friends, so it was my best.
That
pet can
your
be
mum
a
and
friend.
your best friend.
Yeah. And so I hung out with the kangaroo all the time, a lot when I was little. And she, unfortunately, we went out to a dinner party when I was younger, and the dog thought that she might be dinner. And so she was only around for a couple of years. But Skippy's been around for 6 years now.
How big Skippy now?
Skippy's, she comes up to about my nipple height, I guess.
And
She-
Skip, because I've been on the
Is-
property and I've seen how you like.
She's
Skip
double the
lives.
size when you were there, probably.
Skip lives like kind of like a house
King.
dog. Yeah, like a king, but
Yeah.
Skip comes in the house, hangs out, eats food, and goes out and then comes home. Like
She's
there's
got
no
like a-
restraining
How
order.
far away does it hop away before it
Yep.
comes back?
She doesn't go real far. She's got
Okay.
like a mattress, but
She's got a match.
she's got just this kind of sounds pretty gross. It's just it was an old mattress that was like, it's just an old, not a mattress, a piece of foam that came from somewhere, and she just claimed it one day. And so she's just got that, just sits near the back door now.
And that's her bed.
She just lays there.
But you have to home feed her, right? Like, how did you feed her as a kid without a mother?
I played the mother figure. I went and milked kangaroos. No, I didn't really. I went to the store and bought powdered kangaroo milk. You can buy that.
They have powdered kangaroo milk.
Yeah.
Only in Australia.
I had to go get the other kangaroo, suck it out, and then spit it into a bottle and then give it to Skip. No, it doesn't taste good, kangaroo milk.
It doesn't.
No. I mean, I don't know.
How like, you know, obviously there's been a lot of progression in you know, like freestyle motocross. Like where does it go from now, you know? Cuz you're a little bit older now, and there's got to be, you know, like I said, you know, you're kind of, you know, you're taking on that next role of helping some of the upcomers. Like that's what Danny does now too. He's just started working for the US team.
Yep.
And you know, like where like, you know, obviously, you know, you can't do it forever, but like obviously you want to stay involved in it. And like, where does, like, in 10 years from now, like, where do you think freestyle motocross? Because the progression's so high. Like, where is there like a level out? Like, where does it go?
I think freestyle motocross is in a bit of a transitional period at this point in time with the whole, there's a lot of guys that are doing a lot of more free ride stuff, like what Axel's doing is really, really cool. And that's kind of in the middle of big jumps, and like he's doing a lot of freestyle tricks and stuff. But I think we're going to see freestyle move away from being inside small stadiums and being ramped to dirt jumps. I think we're going to see it move into more of like the bigger jump world and the going different, like X Games
like
this
longer
year.
distance and highest air and
highest
so the
air.
freestyle thing, because like tell me this, dude, like.
But we're always going to have the tricks there because there's new tricks. I'm working on some new stuff for X Games this year.
Yeah.
Have been. If I told you, I'd have to kill you. But it's going to be really cool. And
I saw old footage of you like where you did the backflip, but the bike didn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. That's a hard one. I crashed that so much though. Yeah, but there's so much room. Like there's so many more tricks that can happen. But moving forwards for the progression of the sport, I think we're going to see maybe not the biggest tricks done in a freestyle run anymore. We're going to see more technicality in the jumps rather than the tricks. And then when it comes to best trick in the future, we're going to see more airbag landings and things to make the sport safer. And that's like a hard... I grew up in the world where there was no airbag landings. And when you were doing something, you were doing it to dirt.
Well, there were no airbags. There were no foam pits.
Yeah, there was no...
There was nothing.
When it was go time, you were like literally putting everything on the line.
So when you learned a backflip, what was it on?
I had a pit. I'm not going to... But you go from the foam pit...
Hey,
to the dirt.
you're not as dumb as you look.
Uh-huh.
Nothing.
What up? But we didn't have the airbag landings. Nowadays, a lot of the contests, like the nitro contests and stuff, are on the airbag landings.
So it's hard for me to watch that, but I guess I'm getting more used to it and I understand.
You got to get used to it. I didn't like it at the start because I was like, why does everyone else get to do this shit to an airbag landing when we had to do it to dirt? But I think about some of the injuries that we've had, and a lot of people have died doing the sport of freestyle motocross because it is so gnarly. You're going a long way and falling really. So anything we can do to make it safer and keep the dream alive, I'm all for it. Yeah. Especially for the next generation coming through. For freestyle motocross to move forward, it does have to get safer. And the way that it is going to get safer is airbags and making it safer for the next generation. And then moving that freestyle away from keeping best trick in the airbag area, but moving freestyle as a contest away to maybe some different, more technical jumps, I think, rather than trying to go double backflip, front flip, no-hander, body varial, all in a run.
I mean, how gnarly is that, like, the process? Because I've been with you when you have to do those freestyle events.
Oh, it's so
And knowing,
nasty.
like, just to do one best trick is tough. Knowing you've got to go out there and do it 6 in a row for a minute, like, how, what goes through your mind, or how do you get in the mindset to even do that?
Yeah, thankfully for me, not much normally goes through my mind, so I'm probably pretty good at dealing with it. But it's a tough one to. It's not only doing that, when you do it, you've got to do it in qualifying, and you've got to do it in the.
You got to keep doing it.
You got to keep doing it, and it's not
a lot of jumps.
It is, and you're threading the needle. I don't go out there when I do a front flip. I'm like, fuck, I'm probably going to crash. Like, I don't know if I'm going to crash or not. It's not like none of this stuff's 100%. So for you to get through a whole run, it's gnarly. You're lining up and you're jumping over a 3-story house trying to, like, it's real. It's very, freestyle motocross is a very real sport.
Yeah, no, it is. And it always has been.
Yeah, it always has been. That's why I love it.
Yeah. Because it's when you guys go down, you go down.
Yeah, you normally don't get back up.
Not for a while.
Yeah.
I've had some interesting, I had some fun times with you.
Yeah. We also party pretty good too.
That's where I was going. There was one time when we were trying to. I think you just won X Games. You're sharing a room with somebody.
I remember there was a long time ago. We were somewhere, I can't even remember, and I think it was maybe back in LA. And then I woke up. When if you've been like having a little bit of a party and you wake up and you're like, where am I?
Yeah.
And then I rolled over and I saw you laying the other way with your long hair, and you were naked at the time, and I rolled over and I was like, oh shit. And then you rolled back. I was like, phew, it's only Dingo. I didn't know what had happened, but it was.
But at least you made love to someone you knew.
Yeah, that's what
it
I was
wasn't
getting
a
at.
total stranger.
Yeah. But do you remember that morning?
Yeah,
and then
I
I
do.
think Bilko came in and we were drinking.
I remember that morning.
Yeah, we don't need to talk anymore about it.
What I actually did want to talk to you about, so you've had a few periods there, but when X Games got super into it and they brought snowmobiling to Winter X Games.
Yeah, I like snowmobiling.
That's what I wanted to talk to you about, because I know
you guys will look at me like I'm I grew up. You know where I grew up. I'm
Yeah,
not a snowboarder.
there's no snow around where you grew up.
Yeah.
But they invited you to do snowmobile.
I'm the only
freestyle.
person that's been banned from X Games snowmobile.
Yeah, well, there's a reason for that. What was it like? Who came up with that idea? Was that you or?
Yeah, I did it. I just want to go to the snow. I like the snow. It's fun.
So they put you in. You say, "Hey, I want to do it." Had you ridden a snowmobile? Like, what was your snowmobile experience before you doing X Games?
I'd seen them on TV. That was about it. I got in and then I was like, I want to do it. So I went and bought a snowmobile and that's when I went to Minnesota. We were talking about before. I needed somewhere to train. I had a friend in Minnesota who I knew that also snowmobiled. So I went out there and it turns out that Minnesota was probably not the best place to train for X Games in the middle of winter because I got to ride for literally, I had no time on the snowmobile. Excuse me. And
so what did they learn? They taught you how to turn it on?
Yeah, you got to pull it. You don't kick it. Here we are again. I figured it out how to pull it, and especially in the cold. And then we
because it shrinks in the cold, right?
Yeah, I think it's kind of hard.
No,
to
the
find.
cord stays there, but it's pretty tight.
Yeah,
Tight cord.
Yeah. And so when I was done pulling it, I started riding it, and it I didn't have much time. Went to X Games. I was doing the body varial trick where I put my feet through the handlebars, flip over the back, grab the seat. So I did a backflip. The snowmobile didn't. First jump, I went out. On my dirt bike, the clutch is on the left-hand side, this little guy here. And then on the snowmobile, there's no clutch. That thing was a brake. And if you hit the brake in the air, the sled just endos. So I lined up. I jumped the ramp. At it was 75. I didn't know what I was doing. I just watched someone else hit the ramp. And when you go to X Games, the ramp was at like 75 foot. It was a big jump on a sled. And I jumped it. I couldn't even turn at the start of the ramp. I had to get off and pull the front of the thing over. I was the biggest squid of all time. But I figured it out, jumped the ramp. Came time for best trick run. Boom. Flipped over. And on my dirt bike, I nipped my clutch in when I spin around. Like I kind of used the leverage of the clutch and the bar to get around. And on the sled, when I did it, I nipped the brake and the sled endoed and it shot me over the front of the... I probably went like 100 feet to the flat in the snow, a long way. I was just like winding the windows down in the air. And then when the sled landed on the ground, the throttle got stuck on. And unfortunately, it's not funny. It took off. Unfortunately, no one was hurt. It took off into the crowd and my mum was standing there because she flew over. Mum and dad came to watch X Games and it took off towards everyone in the crowd and everyone ran away and it took out a bunch of TV lines and it wasn't a real positive experience for the event, unfortunately, but did get a lot of TV time, was very interesting. So then I had like 2 minutes before Brian Deegan was there as well. He came to watch me. And
Seems he's always there for you.
yeah, he is. He's a good friend.
Now he's there for Haley.
Yeah. Haley and Hayden.
You lost your
Well, he was
dad.
probably psyched though because didn't he? Up until then, he probably took the worst slam in snow big air.
Oh, he
at
definitely
X
took
Games.
that still at X Games.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
definitely
on
has
the
that.
dirt
He
bike.
snapped his femur.
No one's gonna get that.
But like it was interesting because X Games did get a lot of bad press from it, and then Bryant Gumbel did a show, and usually if Bryant Gumbel's doing a story on you,
yeah,
especially for X Games, you know it's not going to be a good one. But they featured your crash in there, basically saying like, "Look at these lunatics! I don't even know what they're doing." As this snowmobile fucking goes charging towards the crowd.
Is that TMZ?
No, that's not. TMZ did a run on you. Brian Gumbel's like, he's
I remember TMZ gave me a heap of bad press, and I don't even know who they are. I was like, the fuck is the internet?
Yeah.
I was ready to get on there and clown him, but I didn't know how to do it.
Yeah. Listen, you're right though. Like, it did get a lot of.
Got a lot of bad press, but that's how you do. I was this close to learning a new trick, and like I was a Mickey hair away from doing something new, and then I was the a Mickey hair. Then I was the cool guy. I wasn't
Does
the guy
Mickey
that
have hair?
wasn't the guy that fucked it up. A Mickey hair.
Oh,
Well,
Minnie-
they say the
Minnie
moment
wouldn't
you
have much
stop
hair.
falling is the moment you stop progressing.
That's it. I was
I've
trying
heard
to push
that.
boundaries. I'm not.
So I wanted
I
to keep talking about your boundary pushing.
Yeah.
So let's fast forward a few years, and then they bring in snow bikes,
Yes.
which is a mix between a snowmobile and a motorbike. And this one's more like a motorbike
Yeah.
than a snowmobile, correct?
Yeah. Yes.
And did you go to Minnesota to learn to drive that thing?
yeah, you ride it. You don't drive it. Thing. Come on. Yeah, I started to figure that.
Hang on, do you ride a snowmobile or do you drive a snowmobile?
Oh, actually, I think you drive a snowmobile. Well, you
I don't
kind of
know.
sit. It's like a couch with the throttle.
I mean, you gotta ride them all. I feel like
with the throttle.
So-
Sorry to all
drive
my
'em all and
snowmobile
you
friends
ride
out
'em
there.
Hang on. No, we're on the snow bike. So you
Okay,
hang on.
back to the snow bike, but the snow bike's like a dirt bike, so it all made sense then. Got on there, it felt good.
No.
Did a few
Let's go back to your practice there.
Oh yeah, I got fucking rolled.
So
I was practicing because I was a little late on the organising of that, so I ended up sending a bag. Is this the one we're talking about?
Yep.
Sending an airbag to Aspen, and it. Sorry.
I can't.
Dumb and Dumber. You can't
Say Aspen
you
again?
can't say that. Aspen. And it, I went through the bag. No, I jumped into the bag, but it turns out that the bag's not super good with the snowmobile, the snow bike thing you landing. And I scared myself then a lot because I went through and there was ice under the ground. So I went straight through it, hit the ice super hard. And I remember as soon as I hit the ground, I thought I ripped my dick off. Because... Wait, it's not funny. Stop laughing.
The first time
You think
you're the airbag, you go straight through the
Yeah,
airbag.
I went straight through it.
Into the
Gone.
ice.
I cut a hole in it. It looked like a big vagina. It was disappeared through the hole. And then when I hit the ground, you wouldn't be laughing if it was your dick on the line here. And I thought I ripped my dick off because it went. All I could feel was just like severe pain where my dick was, where my dick normally is, and it felt like warm, like blood.
oh yeah,
It felt like all warm, and I couldn't. And then I yelled,
At least it's warm.
yeah, I yelled out like, "Fuck! I ripped my dick off!" real loud. Stop laughing.
You're making me laugh.
I was like, "Oh no, I ripped my dick off," and I yelled that out, and then I realized that I couldn't feel my legs, but because I landed on my ass that hard on my tailbone that I broke my back, and then I lost the feeling to my legs, and then it made me feel like I ripped my dick off. So I like pulled my pants down, and I was like, "Oh, my dick's still there," and then I realized that it was my back that caused that. So I went to hospital and I broke my back. It was spinal, and so I had to wait for that to heal, and that hurt. But my legs came back, so I was so scared.
So you
So you
didn't
didn't compete snow bike.
No, I didn't compete. I was walking around like a half-open pocket knife for the next 2 weeks. I still feel that now. My back's so sore all the time. I had 5, and then when they went in, I went back home, saw a specialist at home, got a CT scan on my back or some sort of a scan, and they there's like 6 breaks in there that were pretty bad from previous stuff. And then I went back through and remembered like that time when I was in the helicopter when I got airlifted both ways, my back was sore. Like I couldn't do anything for a couple of months after that. So that was another one. I could pretty much pinpoint the other 6 times. But lots of people break their back, but you don't go to hospital a lot of the times. But there was some ones in there that were not super nice.
Yeah. What's the gnarliest slam you've had on your bike?
Whew, I don't know. I've had a lot of slams. One that comes to mind, I was doing the X Fighters in Dubai.
Dubai.
Dubai. And no, Dubai. Pan or Pam. And I came out of the corner. I thought I did a trick where you land. I did a KOD Indy to side saddle landed. So you land 2 feet on one side of the bike when you come back down.
What's that one called again?
KOD Indy, so like feet over the top.
Oh, yeah.
Came back down 2 feet on one side of the bike, and when I landed, I felt my the foot that I had on the wrong side go down and hit the gear shifter. I thought that I knocked the bike back in from second back into first gear, and it was straight into a corner. And I was only like 19 at this time. Probably it was right after a 1X game, so I was like, I thought that I thought that I knocked it into first, but at that point in my career, I did not give a fuck if I was going for it no matter what. And so I just clicked up a gear hoping that I was in first going to second, but I was actually in second going to third. I'm going to run out of fingers here in a minute. And I just overjumped, cleared the whole landing, did a backflip trick and landed way out on the flats. I probably went like 100 feet because where the gap was, like you had to get on it really hard, and the bike just took off, and I landed probably like 100 feet out. Just landed straight on my ass and
on the bike,
off the bike.
Ooh.
Like I over-rotated the flip. It was nasty. It tore the back wheel off the bike. I've never seen anyone else tear a back wheel off. Like it got the back wheel and ripped it out of the swing arm. So I had 2 cuts on the back on each shoulder here because my helmet, just from landing on my ass, the weight of my helmet just going like that split me both sides down here. I punctured my lung without breaking any ribs. So it just from like the pressure. The doctor's like, I don't know how the fuck you did that, but you did it. But it was just from the pressure, like it's like a balloon popping. And so I couldn't, and I got knocked out pretty bad. And then I got another helicopter ride to the a hospital there. And I remember like I couldn't like breathe the whole time. I don't know if you punched your lung before, but it sucks. It's really hard to breathe. And then this doctor walked in and I felt so violated. He got a knife and he's like, because they do things a bit different over there. And he goes, all right, this is gonna hurt a bit. I didn't have any painkillers or anything. And he goes 1, 2 down on my ribs on the side. And then he gets a knife and he goes, whoosh. And I'm just sitting here like this. And then he got not one finger, he got 2 fingers.
Went straight 2 fingers straight away?
Didn't even buy me dinner or anything. And then straight the whole way in there, my chest just goes, like pushes the air out and I could breathe again. But then I was stuck in hospital over there. But as far as hits go, like I hit the ground severely hard that time to where it was like it fucking hurt. And it's been lots of other broken bones and injuries. Like anyone who's looked at action sports has their fair story of bones, injuries, things that have happened. It's not something that I'd like to pride myself in because you've done something wrong when that happens. But unfortunately, everyone who's even looked at a motorcycle has had something happen.
Yeah, there's no you're not jumping on a motorbike and getting out unscathed.
No, but it's like it's why it's fun though.
Yeah, I guess so.
I think so. It's why you guys
do
what you do on snowboards
right?
and stuff. It's the thrill of doing it.
100%.
And one thing leads to another, and then you're in too deep. You're like, oh, I could probably do that. And then there's no turning back. You're like, fucking let's go.
Yeah, we're in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, we love you here. Danny does this thing where at the end here where we do this like lightning round.
Yeah, coffee.
And we just like fire through them.
Yeah.
But it's awesome we have you in the country. It's been a minute.
I know. I've been here for 4 weeks this time, and fortunately I don't have to hotel quarantine when I go back home tomorrow.
You don't have to, right?
No,
it's over.
That was a punishment last time.
You've had... Oh, hang on. I forgot about this.
We don't need to bring that up.
Nah, let's have a little talk about that. So Jacko did quarantine, came back from X Games last year, and when they started to quarantine, and then you had a few blow-up dolls get sent to the room, right?
So what happened when I got to quarantine, I was super bored. So I was super bored when I got to quarantine. We had 2 weeks in a room, can't open a window, can't do anything. So I put my address at the hotel on my Instagram story and said, hey, if you want to send me anything to make the time go by a little quicker. And of course, like the first day I got a couple of dildos, some butt plugs, some blow up dolls. Ursula, I named her Ursula. She's kind of cute. And they all turned up in the hotel. So I just, and
they delivered them to the room?
Girls' clothes. And the funny thing was the police had to go through, because it was like full lockdown shit, and the police would go through all the packages. So I'd see that open up like my dildos and stuff. And it was pretty funny because I just started making these movies with all the without like just.
If you followed his story throughout this 2 week period,
it's on my
every day got crazier and crazier, and he had wigs for him and names for him, and it was like a bit of a mini sitcom.
Yeah, the blow up dolls ended up getting married. They were deeply in love at the end. It got kind of weird at the. Yeah, I left some stuff in the room at the end because I had no need for the. Yeah, I'll leave it at that, but. It was a good time. Another funny one that comes to mind about that whole experience was when they'd knock on, because Harry Bink was across
Bink was your neighbor, right?
He was like across for down a few, and we'll play this game because you try to entertain yourself there. You're kind of locked in there. So we're playing this game. There'd be some people, lovely elderly ladies that had walked down the hallway. They knocked on your door, and then you had to wait 30 seconds after they knocked on the door to then open the door and receive your food for the breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And when they do that, we're playing this game where you would get naked, and then you'd hear them coming before they'd knock on the door, and then we'd open the door and then they'd be throw the food up in the air, and it was all pretty funny. And then after that, I was just sitting in the doorway, and I don't know if you've been like had to stay in a hotel for a long period of time, but you don't normally wear clothes just because like what do you do?
I mean, it depends who you are, but yeah.
Well, it's like you're not going anywhere. You're not leaving, so you may as well just sit around in the nude.
But you put clothes on your blow-up dolls.
Yeah, I use my clothes for the blow-up dolls. So then I was laying down in the in the door jam, like just kind of like sitting in there like that because Harry just got his food and I was just eating my food. And I actually had a pink leotard on at the time. Harry was naked and I was eating my food and then the phone starts ringing and I went and answered the phone and this lady goes, oh, this is so-and-so from Australian Federal Police. We just hear you've had a quarantine breach that you've left your room. Just so you know, you have to start your hotel quarantine again, another 2 weeks again. And I was a week and a half in and I like, you know, when your heart sinks like, and you're like, you can't say anything. I was like, I never left the room. I never left the room. I was just talking. And then she goes, well, we've got video footage of that. And we know that, you know, you're probably a similar age to the guy next door. And he looks like a lovely young guy. And, you know, you guys probably have a lot in common. And as soon as this quarantine's over, you guys can, you know, meet up together and go do some stuff together if you like. And I was like, yeah, it's okay. I won't leave my room again, and hung up. And then after I hung up, I was like, oh, she thought we were gay. She didn't know that like we knew each other. And then all the other weird stuff that I got sent in there, I tried to call her back to say, because I probably painted the worst picture to the police in Australia. It was weird as fun. So I tried to call them back. Couldn't call them back, long story short. So I'm probably on some sort of a watch list.
But they didn't make you stay another 2 weeks, did they?
No, they didn't.
No.
No.
They were just trying to
Thank
scare
God.
you.
Yeah, they were.
I was hoping it was the hotel ladies playing a trick on you.
No, they weren't playing tricks. It was serious.
All right, lightning round questions. Are you ready?
Fire when ready.
Favorite place ever traveled for motocross?
Papua New Guinea.
Dang.
Place
What
is
goes
sick.
through your mind before jumping off a bridge with a parachute?
I hope I don't die.
Scariest trick you've ever learned on a bike?
Front flip.
Biggest misconception about people from Australia?
We're not all hung super big.
Best young talent to watch in motocross right now?
Ben Richards and Tom Richards.
Dang.
Best freestyle motocross scene in the world?
Freestyle motocross scene best in the world would be... I like the early Metal Militia videos. They're what got me into riding. Early Crusty Militia.
If you could eat one meal for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Meat pies.
What kind of meat?
Lamb
Lamb or beef?
Just like an Aussie servo
Chicken?
gas station.
Yeah,
meat
it's
pie.
beef.
It's beef. Yeah.
Do you believe in aliens?
No.
Because you would have seen them already.
Yeah, I don't care if there is aliens.
All right.
No.
Well,
It's
That's
not
a wrap.
that's
Yeah.
a wrap.
That's a wrap. Big day. Jackson Strong.
Thanks for having me, boys.
Unleashed with the Dingo and Danny. Fueled by Monster Energy.